Some say smiles initiate peace. Ask anyone who lives in a calm country, and they'll say the opposite. These virtuous nations have higher economic growth, a stronger currency, and higher foreign investment, as well as better political stability and a stronger association with happiness. Global peace has declined by 3% in the past 15 years. Old and new conflicts, the epidemic, and division are to blame. Here we will be discussing about the 10 countries to live in peacefully. Number 10. Japan. Japan has a population that is 12 times as dense as the United States and 3 times that of Europe. Nevertheless, it consistently achieves high rankings for both tranquility and quality of life. The National Police Agency observes that theft and other offenses are no longer relevant. The number of reported crimes has been steadily declining in recent years, reaching historically low levels. This trend is also shown in Japan's low incarceration rate, which has been declining since the 1950s. However, the Japanese frequently express anxiety about escalating tensions with China and North Korea when it comes to relations with neighboring nations. A new interpretation of Japan's peace constitution, which was put in place after the Second World War to prevent the resurgence of aggressive militarism, allowed for collective self-defense in 2014. Number 9. Singapore. Singapore has gotten more peaceful while the Global Peace Index report depicts a globe that is becoming more dangerous. Much more tranquil, it held the 22nd position when the ranking was originally introduced in 2008. What caused this amazing jump? The Institute for Economics and Peace notes that although significant declines in peace are typically driven by a small number of variables, ranking increases are typically more evenly distributed. The level of militarization, with red marks when it comes to armed services personnel, police forces, and weapons import expenditure, is what keeps Singapore from reaching the top of the ranking, like Japan or Switzerland, which this year fell out of the top 10 for the first time in a decade. Number 8. Czech Republic. The OECD reports that it also does well on several welfare indicators, placing above average in terms of employment and income, work-life balance, education, and skill levels. Additionally, this tiny country of 10.7 million people boasts an unemployment rate of just over 3%, one of the lowest in the European Union and roughly half the bloc's average. Adults aged 25 to 64 have upper secondary education completion rates of 94%, which is significantly higher than the average rate of 78% and the highest among the 34 industrialist member countries. Even though this number was only around 2% prior to the epidemic, below what economists regard as a natural level, there are already indications that the nation is moving toward pre-COVID levels. Number 7. Slovenia. According to a myth, Slovenians were disregarded when God allocated the land to the nations because there were so few of them. They still barely reached 2 million. He offered them a little bit of heaven he had hoarded for himself as an act of contrition. One of the highest levels of biodiversity on the continent can be found on Slovenia's territory, which is half covered by woods. Within 1 hour's drive of the country's capital, Ljubljana, you may either swim in the Adriatic Sea or hike the Julian Alps. It is simple to picture Slovenia as a tranquil nation. It consistently ranks in the top 10 of the Peace Report and is the best performing country in emerging Europe. Along with the Republic, Poland and Bulgaria also rank in the top 30, along with Hungary, Croatia, and Slovakia. Before we move further, hit the subscribe button and enjoy our content more often. Number 6. Portugal. When it comes to peace and safety, Portugal follows its own path. This country, which has a population of about 10 million, has become one of the GPI's biggest climbers in recent years, rising from the 18th position it held in 2014 to the top 10. Portugal is ranked above the norm for industrialist countries in terms of housing, work-life balance, personal security, and environmental quality. It is also regarded as one of the best locations for expats due to the high standard of its way of life. Even better, you don't have to spend a fortune to experience the Portuguese way of life because the nation continues to be one of the continent's most budget-friendly travel destinations. Number 5. Austria. Since the conclusion of the Cold War, this little landlocked nation of only about 9 million people has shifted from its outlying location on the frontier between East and West toward the heart of a broader Europe. Austria prided itself on attempting to get along with opposing political blocs and exploring novel kinds of collaboration with its neighbors as a young member of the EU and outside of NATO. Number 4. Denmark. From 2011 to 2016, Denmark maintained the second-place rating for 5 straight years. From 2017 to 2020, it ranked 5th, and last year it was 3rd. These comparatively little adjustments in the ranking, which now placed the kingdom in 4th place, only served to highlight the kingdom's success. Denmark is known for its high level of political stability, journalistic freedom, and respect for human rights, making it a secure place to visit and reside. Additionally, it has a high degree of income equality and is routinely rated as one of the world's happiest countries. However, this country of less than 6 million spends a lot of money to maintain all that happiness and those high standards of living. In order to counter the threat posed by Russia's escalating military activity in Northern and Eastern Europe, Denmark reached a historic cross-party political agreement in 2018 to increase its defense budget by 20%, putting it on track to match the levels of spending of its Nordic neighbors Sweden and Norway and to meet the NATO membership target of 2% of national GDP for military spending. Number 3. Ireland. One of the richest, most developed, and happiest countries in the world is the Republic of Ireland. It is also relatively peaceful. In the most recent Global Peace Report, it managed to move up 4 spots and take 8th place, which was its highest ever ranking. Ireland outperformed itself this year, surpassing many of its European contemporaries and taking 3rd position in the Peace Index. Number 2. New Zealand. New Zealand has maintained its position as the second-ranked nation in the index since 2017, and during the past 15 years, it has never dropped lower than 4th place. It is commonly regarded as being a great place to live because it received nearly perfect scores in the areas of societal safety, militarism, and domestic and international conflict. New Zealand, which is nearly the same size as the United Kingdom but with a population of 5 million, has the best health status among OECD countries and performs better than average in terms of education, employment, and wages. All of this, however, comes at a price. The gap between the rich and the poor is viewed by 20% of New Zealanders as the most important economic problem facing the country, and the lack of affordable housing is making it harder for individuals with low salaries to buy homes. Number 1. Iceland. Icelanders have restful nights since they reside in the most tranquil nation in the world. When it comes to peaceful Iceland, there is seldom any bad news because it has maintained the top rank for the last 15 years. With the smallest population of any NATO member state, roughly 365,000, and no standing armed forces, army, navy, or air force, Iceland also boasts historically low crime rates, a world-class welfare and education system, and ranks among the best countries in terms of employment, earnings, and subjective well-being. To which country you're thinking to shift in? Do let us know your thoughts. If you enjoy watching our videos, make sure to like and subscribe for further updates.